We are back for another episode of Always Another Game podcast, where today we're going inside the mind of a fellow ice hockey player, my second one on the podcast. We have Andy McKinney here today. Andy, how's it going?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for inviting me on.
No, it's great to have you. It's great to have you because obviously I got to experience playing against you. We were never teammates, but also I love what you're doing in life after sport as well, which I'll get you to talk a little bit more about that shortly. But what I think we need to get out of the way very, very early on is you were my first and only. Okay. And I think everybody wants to know who won the fight.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a video of it floating around somewhere. I can't really remember it. I think it was very quick.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Because obviously you had a few more than I did, but that was actually my only ever one. So it's quite interesting to have it on the podcast because I think if anybody is here that doesn't quite understand ice hockey, is you've got two people that's had a fight talking here like nothing's happened. It's a pretty unique thing, isn't it, fighting in ice hockey?
Yeah, I mean, ice hockey is like rugby. A lot of people in the UK can relate to that. It's everything is left on the ice or on the pitch, and then afterwards, you're often best friends, and often the biggest asshole on their team is normally the best person you'd get along with if they were on your team. So that's why we all, like to enjoy and have a drink after a game and stuff like that. So it's just an honest game, and there's no, behind the scenes kind of crap that goes with it. It's honest and it's left out there.
Yeah, and that behind the scenes stuff is very rare because obviously fighting isn't allowed in ice hockey. It's still marshaled, you're still penalized. Mm-hmm. It happens occasionally, but then when it happens occasionally, obviously then quite often it goes to the authorities. It's it's not allowed to boil over. So the fact that there's kind of this unwritten code that you do leave it on the ice is you don't see that in many sports.
No, and obviously in the game has shifted a lot since we both played, and I'm still playing, and I've been involved in the sport whilst it has made this shift recently. So ice hockey fights are becoming less and less frequent. There's less and less opportunity for players to police the game, as they would call it. So, behind the play crap is actually more common, and then unfortunately the refs and the video is now policing and reffing the game, whereas it used to be back in the day we'd leave it all out on the ice.
Yeah, well, at least you know that I think about you a lot now because you are my only one. But yeah, all I remember from it is I think you said, do you want to go? For some strange reason I said yes. I think you hit me about 3 times before I realized what was going on, and next thing I know I'm sitting in the penalty box. I kind of blacked out.
No, yeah, I mean it's it's never nice when you're on the other end of a fight like that, but it's happened to us all.
Yeah. So what I like to get everything kicked off with the show and just get the audience to know you a little bit more is who is Andy McKinney?
Yeah, I mean, Andy, I'm a father of 2, getting married in April, where I'll be an honest man.
Congratulations.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And I really am, I'm a financial advisor, protection advisor, so I focus on providing insurance policies for business owners, self-employed sole traders, families, couples, sports people. And that's my day-to-day. And then I was, professional ice hockey player for kind of 12 years. That includes a bit of semi-professional, and now just going for a bit of fun with the friends and stuff like that. So yeah, ice hockey, sport in general has been a big part of my life. I started playing ice hockey at the age of 5. Didn't really like education too much. It was always evolved around sport. And then when I went to high school, I literally played in every sports team I could at high school. Mm-hmm. And had the opportunity at 16 to move to Canada. That's the hockey took over really. And that was a big part of my life. You're talking 12, 15 years of my life was evolved around ice hockey.
Yeah. It's fascinating because a lot of the athletes that have come on, and a lot of them have been successful in many different ways, have always said, I've played multiple sports. I grew up playing multiple sports. And I think that's so important. You do see, not everybody, but you do see a lot of, kids these days. And it's like, no, I'm going to play football. And that's all they do. They don't try anything else, and I think we should experience, different different sports growing up, because you just never know what you're actually going to be good at or what you actually are going to enjoy and stick at.
100%, a firm believer in that. I mean, it's quite more popular over in North America to do that because they actually have the more seasons. You know, winter is winter and summer is summer, whereas in the UK it's just miserable all the time. But yeah, but massively important. I mean, when I was a kid, you know, the sports I played at school were football. I didn't have time to play football on the weekends. Because of ice hockey, because of roller hockey, and then at school it allowed me to play football, in goal, out, wicket keeper for the cricket team for the full 5 years. I absolutely loved cricket for some reason.
Had to be wicket keeper when we played.
Involved most of it, but and then basketball. I love playing basketball, table tennis. So I was a part of all the teams, and just, you know, playing those different sports, it just improves all your skill set for the sport that is your main one, really. Hand-eye coordination, etiquette, how to carry yourself mentally. So yeah, definitely firm believer in trying as many as you can.
Yeah. So were you playing, so obviously you said you moved to Canada at 16. Were you playing before moving to Canada?
Yeah, I mean, I started playing ice hockey at the age of 5, and then I went through the conference systems that they've got here in the UK, and then 16, I moved to Canada and played what they call, which is junior A, but it was more junior B level, so 16 to 21-year-olds. Really good standard, and then come back at 18 and started playing in the EPL like yourself.
Yeah. So the move out to Canada, was that just purely hockey orientated, and was there a kind of a big goal for moving out there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't necessarily for hockey. It was more for life experience. I was very fortunate enough to have 2 passports, Canadian citizenship, as I was born there, and the opportunity come about. I didn't know what I wanted to do after GCSEs, and obviously in the UK you can move on at 16. So I went and lived with my uncle. He lived on he had 30 horses. He lived on a horse ranch.
Oh, wow.
And his business was to take tourists from Vancouver, from Whistler, through the mountains on horseback.
Nice.
So that's why I moved out there, to kind of work within his business. As soon as I arrived there, my cousin knew I played hockey. I brought my hockey kit. He said there's tryouts for the junior team. I didn't even know there was a junior team there. I was already planning to play for the midget AA team, I think it was. And then I ended up getting on the junior A team as like the 4th, you know, way down the lineup, but I was only 16. And it just shifted the reason why I'd moved over there quite quickly. It was now focused on playing hockey and working in my uncle's business. And honestly, it was amazing. You know, you're in the mountains on horseback and playing hockey at the same time. It was a kid's dream.
Yeah, that's incredible, because I think sport offers that a lot. It offers the opportunity to travel, and obviously you had the luxury of having the Canadian passport as well, and you had the uncle there, which was handy. And I've had a conversation today with another athlete, and we're saying it's easy to do to travel. You know, I raised a point that when you reach an elite level, you get to do it. And she reminded me, no, you can just go and be recreational. You can just go and ski, and you can just go over to another country and play. Like for us, ice hockey in Canada, they have the pickup games. You just show up with your bag and just play. And I think, you know, sport offers us that opportunity. What was it about ice hockey that it became your own sport? What was so different to it from, you know, playing football because everyone else plays football?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a goalie. He's Canadian. He was a goalie. My older brother, Adam, 2 years older than me, he was playing. You know, I was just kind of following them in their footsteps. My dad was our coach. It was just, that was the reason, you know, that was our thing to do. And the little brother started playing as well. So it just become a family affair, really. And having my dad as the coach and kind of guiding me through that was just, you know, it wasn't that it was just a process. It was more of a formality. It was like it was going to happen, type of thing.
Yeah. I think we all get influenced in a way by our parents. You know, my parents were the reason I started, because my dad, my aunt, my dad's sister also lived in Canada. So, you know, ice hockey is the number one, the national sport there, and it does. Your parents allow you to get in and to try this stuff, and then we make that decision to carry on. So what brought you home then? Because obviously you went out to Canada, which it's the national sport there. It's completely different level to what we have over here. What was it? What was the turning point that you came back to the UK to play?
Yeah, it was a pretty crap one, really. Crap note why I come back. But the first year I was there, it was an outlaw league, they call it in Canada. So it's not sanctioned by Hockey Canada.
Okay.
So it would allow for foreign players like English players or Swedes, Germans, Russian players to go over there and play in that league. And there was 2 Germans on my team. Then the following season, they'd applied for the Junior B League in Vancouver. And my coach had told me in the summer, don't worry, I'll sign you. You can play because of your Canadian citizenship. And in hindsight, when I arrived there, he was right. We've got some legal stuff to do. You need to make your uncle your guardian. I wish I would have known this before I got on a flight and went back over. But basically, I was only allowed to play in exhibition games, tournaments, and train with the team. So this was from September kind of to December time where I decided enough's enough, let's go home, which was fortunate because I wasn't playing in the league. I wasn't going to progress. So, I'd almost lost my spot in the lineup because of this legal situation. And I had the opportunity before I went back to Canada to go and try out in Germany in the DNL, which is the under German league. And in hindsight, I should have definitely done that. There was 2 other British players that went over there that year. I think it was Joseph Lewis, which still plays there now, actually, and also Andy Hurst played as well. So I would have been the 3rd player in that league. But that was a down point of my career, and I come back and played for Telford under 18. So I think I played 3 games with the likes of Luke Brittle, etc. And then Claude Dumas was the coach of Telford Tigers EPL team, and then I was asked to play with them for the rest of the season. So that was my step up into what was semi-professional level.
You hear it a lot, and I was the same as well. I wanted to go to Finland. We spent a lot of time in Finland with Southeast Conference, and I loved it over there, and I got some great connections. And it never happened. And everyone says, like, do you have regrets in ice hockey? And there's certain ice hockey decisions that I made that I regret. But then when I look at the grand scheme of things, like everything happens for a reason. And, if I had gone to Finland, things might have been different. I might have fallen out of love and not played ice hockey. So, the decisions can look good sometimes, and they may have been, like you said, Joe Lewis still plays there now. But, it doesn't always work out that way. So where did it bring you? So you went, we come back to Telford. You've had quite a successful career over here. You've played at, a lot of the top teams, which is the EPL league, which is, in my opinion, it was one of the most competitive leagues that I played in, kind of just under the elite league, but, especially with the 5 imports that we had at the time, it was a really competitive league. So, what did you kind of take away from those times playing in those top teams and winning trophies as well?
Yeah, I think after that experience with Telford, and at the time Telford was always bottom of the league type of team with Claude Dumas, and then they folded that year, which I dropped down another level. So I went down to the 3rd division, played at Manchester, sat on the bench a few games at the Phoenix, and then had the opportunity to go back to Telford when they were up and coming again, and stuck it out there, and then progressed and got a 2-way contract with the league above in Hull. And then that was really, a turning point for me in my career. And I lost lots of weight. I focused a bit more on, I learned so much about nutrition, working hard in the gym with the likes of Matty Davis and Derek Campbell and in Boucher. And kind of, this is the way you need to live your life if you want to be successful at this level. And that was a big eye opener for me. And then we actually knocked Sheffield Steelers out of the playoffs in the quarterfinals, which was basically like Hull winning a bloody championship. It was that kind of mentality. And that was where I got a taste for, like, look, I want to win trophies. I want to, push us on another level. And then Tony from Manchester Phoenix asked for me to come back. Well, not really come back, so I hadn't made the team beforehand, but that was an opportunity for me to move closer to home. Chester only being half an hour away from Altrincham. Manchester, playing for Tony Hand was definitely something that I wanted to do. And then give me the opportunity to I was 21, let's go to university. Ice hockey's not for life. And then really, started my degree. To play 2 years at Manchester where we won trophies, and just absolutely loved it. Didn't really want to move on, but had an offer from Guildford, and when you get an offer from Guildford in the EPL days, those days you don't turn that down. It's probably the best club to play for. And luckily, with my degree, I'd finished 2 years. I had the opportunity to move universities, so London was calling basically. And me being from up north, it was the opportunity to move down to Guildford, commute into London, and finish my degree down there. So that was where I spent 4 seasons, 3.5 seasons in Guildford at the EPL days, and won more trophies there. So yeah, it kind of, just loved to move to teams that had an opportunity to win something. And then where else do I go? Finished my degree, went traveling. Guildford went back up to the Elite League. And then unfortunately, a bit of a downtime in my career was when my dad got diagnosed with cancer. 2016 he was diagnosed, so I was still playing EPL level. And then I knew in 2017 he was just getting worse and worse. And I made the decision to leave Guildford to be closer to home with my dad, which was the best decision I ever made, but it was also in the worst headspace ever in hockey career. Drinking too much, partying too much, just not talking to people when I was going through difficult times, and it was a big mental battle that I had to pull myself through. I played for Manchester Storm, and we won another trophy in the conference, and that was a great opportunity, and a great organization, and it was the Storm, but it was where the Phoenix had played, so it was felt comfortable. And then I just needed to figure out what I needed to do in my head after that season. I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and I needed to drop back down another level and start focusing now on building a career. And I managed to get a job in Chester and start looking towards the future. And I went back to Telford for a third stint, where we won another couple of championships. So playing for Tom Watkins again, he's best coach of my career. So great opportunity. And then it's kind of taken off from there.
Yeah, it sounds like you had quite a few times where you had to juggle. You spoke about going to uni not long after you said you were going kind of full in. You were saying the guys were helping you out, and you dropped a lot of weight. And then obviously this incident, this scenario with your dad. How I don't even want to imagine it, and I'm sure many others don't. But that season that it happened, you were still playing at the time?
Yeah, so like I said, hockey was my escape. Getting in the change room and just pretending like nothing's happened. It's just like I can have a laugh, I can have a chat, I can go out there, just focus on doing my job on the ice. Making a big hit, having a fight, scoring a goal. That would just make me escape. But then it was the behind the scenes stuff. Going home and like I said, drinking, partying too much. Forgetting about areas of my life that I should have been paying more attention to. But I was really just trying to spend as much time with my dad, and that's why I said it was the best decision to drop everything in Guildford and move back up north because then he passed away in 2019, and that was another weird moment where I kind of, obviously told Tom, I'm not going to make the game today. My dad just died, and Tom honestly just take as long as you want. And then he was shocked to see me at training on Wednesday, just because, I probably should have took more time off, but hockey was my escape and my release. And I just wanted to crack on. And I'm sure my dad probably would have been up there just saying, good job, well done for getting out there. So, but it took me a while to get to come to terms with it. And it wasn't until 2021 where I actually went and spoke to a professional. And a bereavement counsellor, they call it. I did go to the NHS and say, can I speak to someone? But they were pretty useless, if I'm not going to lie. So this was like an independent charity, professionals. And it kind of just made me come to terms with it a little bit quicker. And what helps is me talking about it. Because, my dad was my rock and my coach throughout my career. So it was tough when he went. But, I've come to terms with it now.
Yeah, and you're right with sport, and obviously for us specifically ice hockey, when you're playing, nothing else matters. You know, you might stop for a second and hear something in the crowd, or you might think of something, but when you're in that moment, you haven't got any other choice but to focus, because obviously if you don't, you know, you've got somebody hunting you down, and you could get scored on, or you could get smoked, you know, and it is an escape. But like I said, there's only that certain point, because once that game's over, it's over. You know, looking back now at kind of maybe how you were away from the game, is there anything that you learn or that you would change, you know, in that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have. Yeah, I probably would have changed my mental attitude towards playing slightly, as opposed to, you know, I was always, you know, I wasn't the best trainer. You know, I was always in the moment in the game. However, if I could have enjoyed the other aspects of it a little bit more, and maybe removed some of the negative aspects, maybe I would have been a better player. But
Mm,
you know, you're there for the ride, and you know, I kind of my mentality when I was younger, you know, 21 to 26 was, you know, let's enjoy this. This is we're there for the ride, and I had a bit of a
hmm
habit, you know, playing my season, working alongside sport, or going to uni, and then I was off traveling in the summertime and enjoying myself. So, you know, I could probably maybe could have stayed at the higher level, but it was so common in the UK ice hockey for players to get to the elite league and then soon realize that financially it wasn't the right move, and
hmm
dropping down PL to work and play at a decent level was a better opportunity and more financially secure.
Yeah, you saw a lot of players did it. I did it, and
Yeah,
same thing. You know, I dropped down. You know, the money wasn't there, and you weren't getting the ice time. And again, at that point, the EPL was a very good league. You know, it's probably the closest to the elite league that, you know, maybe we've had in a long time. So it was a
yeah.
decent level. It was good pay, and you could work. So, you know, it kind of for life, it made a lot of sense. You spoke about there, you know, that you realized talking about your dad's passing has been, you know, a huge help for you. What was it that led you to reach out? You said you went to the NHS first and then to this charity. What do you think the trigger was that you went, actually, you know what, I do need to talk, and I'm actually going to do it?
Yeah, it was my missus.
Okay.
Little scapegoat there, but no, she's made me like more intertwined with my emotions. I always used to think, you know, she's too emotional, but and she you know, she's fun. Me being a bloke, you know, I think there was a time where I was like, I wanted to talk to my mates, my mates from school. And I said, "Can we just go for a coffee?" And it didn't end up in a coffee; it ended up into a pint, and we didn't
Mm,
even talk. I got there and we didn't talk about what I needed to talk about, and it was quickly brushed under the carpet, and it ended up into, you know, a night out on the town instead, because that was just like the lad mentality, and she really
mm,
helped me say, go and speak to, you know, not sexist at all, but maybe me speaking to a female would be better to get stuff off my chest, and
mhm.
yeah, just massively helped. And it helped me improve my relationships with my brothers as well and my family. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it is. Communication is powerful, and it's one thing we struggle with. And a lot of leading experts in communication almost say, like, we should talk, we should learn it at school. We should learn to be able to do it, because you're now a father of two boys. Um, I am as well, and one thing that I am working on more so with my eldest, my youngest is probably too young, is to try and give him a safe space to talk, to tell me, you know, about how he's feeling or what's going on, and I can create, you know, a solution for him, you know, if he's willing to talk. Have you noticed anything like that? Do you do anything with your boys at all?
yeah. I mean, I've had too many head injuries to remember what it was like when I was going to preschool or nursery. But that exact thing happened this morning. My 2-year-old, he's in the car, he's waiting to go, he's ready to get off to preschool, and my 4-year-old Austin was not feeling himself this morning. You know, he's a little bit emotional. He doesn't want to go to school. Where I've said, you know, when we've arrived at nursery, you know, I've put Otto in straight away. He's happy as Larry. He's gone to knock on the door. Whereas Austin doesn't want to get out of the car, and he doesn't want to go to school. He wants to spend time with me at
Mm,
home, wherever I've
yeah.
told him, no, I've got to work. And that kind of, you know, tell me how you're feeling type of, question that come out of my mouth. And why don't we go into school and go into rocket room? And the good thing about the nursery that he goes to, and I think it is quite common at other nurseries as well, is they walk in and they say, tell me how you're feeling today. And they can go over to their chart and they can move things along. And I'm feeling angry or upset today. And then they know, like, oh, do you want to go away and have some quiet time and read a book?
Mhm.
And that opportunity is there, where when I was a kid, I don't think we had that kind of mindset or tools in place. So I think that's massively beneficial, and we can I can read off my two boys on how they're feeling.
Yeah, it is, and I think we are more open to the conversation now, and to be aware of emotions. We're talking to two hockey lads that it's no, guys should be tough. You guys shouldn't talk about anything, or and just kind of just deal with it type of thing. Whereas I think a lot of places like preschool schools, are a lot more open to kind of supporting now, which is fantastic. Do they play? Do they play at all? Are they going to play, or are they into another sport?
No, it's funny because I put my tracksuit on now to go to hockey, and my son Austin goes, "Oh no, bloody hockey again!" So I've taken him on the couple of times. He's not into it at the moment, but he's still only 4 years old. Taking the 2-year-old once, so I'm not going to rush into anything. They like their rugby a little bit, and they love swimming and hiking.
Yeah, I was the same. My eldest is not a fan at all. I think my youngest might be. He's been on the ice a couple of times and loved it, and I might take him down to a bees game. I don't know how much I'll get out of him, but yeah, it just for me, it's like, would I like them to play ice hockey? A part of me, yeah, but then the other part is like, it costs a lot of money, so can we just maybe play a cheaper sport? I can only imagine what our parents went through, because it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, now, 100%. I mean, I was chatting to someone about that today. Actually, it's not like football. Yeah. So it's any parents that are going to get their kid, don't force it. Let them make the decision. Otherwise, you'll be out of pocket quite a bit.
Yeah, but we spoke earlier. Passion is such a big part of it. You have to. Your kid has to enjoy the sport. It can't just there's an element of encouragement. You can't just say no, it's fine, don't do anything. There is an element of encouragement, but that fine line between that passion to play and just being forced to play is the difference between being successful or not. I've seen a load of kids that got pushed and they never made it because they didn't want to. They were forced into it. So I think guiding them is a lot better approach.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we played with loads of players when we were kids where they were taught to be the next best thing, and really they didn't really want to play. It was more their parents putting pressure on them and throwing them in the car and getting them to all these early sessions and stuff. And I listen to a lot of American sports podcasts, and they all say the same. It's just as crazy over there. And I'm sure it's likewise here with football in this country. Yeah, just let the kids play, have fun. That's the main thing, and learn life lessons. They're not necessarily going to reach the professional level, so let them have fun.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to take away from the podcast, is how much there is to offer, away from the game, because the people, you hear the term, "Oh, such a waste of talent." Well, is it? If they're having a happy life and they're doing what they love doing now, is it really a waste of talent? It's kind of our choice, and it should be guided more that way. Again, encouragement is good if it's just like a blip phase. To have somebody to guide you along it is important, but it's knowing the difference between forcing somebody and guiding. I think that's a big difference as a parent. You need to ensure your kids are having fun.
Yeah, and then it's also the same as when these kids turn into adults and they still are playing a decent level, and maybe they do make it professional. And I took myself off to university, but there was guys on my team that I kind of looked up to, like Tom Duggan, who you played with. He was always on. He was doing another degree or reading books, and he's got a very successful job now in finance as well. So having that kind of release of the sport, but then also understanding that life's bigger and more important. There's other goals out there that you can achieve as well. So it definitely keep your feet on the ground a little bit.
Yeah, let's dig into that really quickly then. So because you did play with going to university, so you were studying at the same time. How did you manage that? It's not easy to do, because whether or not we were classified as part-time. It wasn't. You were still asked. You were still being paid. You were still asked to perform like a full-time athlete. So how did you manage the two together?
I picked a really easy degree to do that. Event management and business management. So the first 2 years were pretty much a doddle, if I'm honest. And the third year when I went to London, how did I manage it? I went out of my way to lock myself into a library. I could never do what players like Tom Duggan did on the bus. I just would get either motion sickness or I'd want to go back to the back of the bus to play cards, or crack open a few beers. So yeah, my mentality was I've got to lock myself in the library here or lock myself at home and get stuff done. So I think the balance was, when I was at university, it was, hockey was my income, and university was my future. So that's the way I looked at it. I made sure, got my training in, did my bits, and then, was focusing on my education. If I mixed in a job alongside that, then that could have been, too much.
Yeah. See, like for me, when I was working in my latter part of the career, when it was PT and playing, I felt like I was trying to give each one 100%, which then meant I was giving neither. I was way off on neither. And I created a lot of stress and friction for myself because neither one was getting the attention that it deserved. Did you feel you were able to find a balance by that's uni time and that's hockey time? Or did you feel like there was a crossover?
No, yeah, there's definitely a crossover. It didn't really work that well. It's the same with now what I'm doing now. It's trying to find that balance, and I still am today. Like I was mentioning to you before we jumped on the podcast, my body's in bits after 2 games of hockey on a weekend. So yeah, it's tough to balance, tough to juggle.
It is, but I think that's life, isn't it? And if it means enough, you find a way, because you have fallen into something away from the game, which I love. I love the concept of it. So if you let everybody know a little bit about what you are doing now, and obviously the company as well that you're working for, and what they stand for.
Yeah, so essentially I'm what they call a protection advisor. I'm an insurance broker. So I specialize in helping, predominantly at the moment, I help business owners with the correct protection insurance for their needs. What does that mean? So basically, if you've got if you've got a business owner who wants to run life insurance for his business, protect his income if he was off work due to an accident or sickness. I've broken my hand here. So how would that affect you as a business owner? Are you working in, a high occupation class, as in a tradesman, let's say, as an example? So providing these types of people with the correct insurance for their needs, life insurance, critical illness cover, income protection. We do a lot of private medical insurance as the strain on the NHS as well. And then helping families as well and guiding them through the process of, do they, need help with their mortgage? Maybe they need to set aside for a private pension. This is where we can come in and help. All of the people within our firm are kind of involved in sport in some way, or used to be. So providing a platform when you're leaving sport, it was fine for my level and for your level. I'm sure there was probably a bit of ifs and buts, but when you're leaving a sport like rugby or football, and you've been paid quite well your whole career, and that's been your sole focus, it's very, very daunting thought of, oh crap, I've got to enter the real world now. These football players that have been playing, League Two conference, they might be getting paid $5,000 a week, which is great money, but they've still got big mortgages. They've still got family to take care of when their careers come to an end. And game plans been created for them to dip their toe into finance, whether they want to become a mortgage advisor, do protection like I do, go down the wealth side and pensions and investments, and see if it's right for them whilst they're still playing the sport. And if it is right for them and they're ready to give it a go full time, that transition will guide them through the process and give them that opportunity. So anyone out there, we've got Paralympians, Olympians, and all sorts of different walks of life in the sporting aspect who have joined forces and they're on our team.
Yeah, I love the concept of game plan. And it's providing athletes a life after sport, because we often see, we hear the stories of the struggling athletes, the ones that turn to, to drink and to drink to alcohol and drugs. And a lot of that is because the purpose is lost. There's, they can't play anymore. They can't do what they've done for decades. And, and not everybody can fall into life after sport within sport. Not everybody falls into coaching or being a commentator. There's only a certain amount of job roles and obviously you have to have certain skills and qualities as well. So, to show people that there is other stuff, that you can still be involved in kind of an athlete style lifestyle. Because I'm pretty sure when you guys get together, there's a little bit of changing room talk still.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's rare that we get together as a big team maybe once a year, but we've segmented it now into like areas, northwest, northeast, that sort of stuff, south, where we can bounce ideas off each other, and also talk within a funny sporting kind of, when we get together, it's always a bit of sporting game, like you said, change room talk. That's you nailed it on the head there.
Yeah. And that's that community vibe I think a lot of people miss, right? Humans love human connection. And when you get removed from that changing room environment, you can't really go back in. I was talking to Danny Myers the other day, and he was saying like he feels like it's this special place where when he went back after playing, he didn't feel like he could go into, because when he was involved in that room, that was the team's room. Nobody would come in here. No, unless you were invited, you kind of stay out of our room. And when he finished playing, he missed that part of it. And I think that's a big part of when you finish playing sport, is to find that environment, whether that is continuing within sport, whether it's within a business like Game Plan, or I'm sure there is, sporting networking style places as well. I'm sure there is going to be lots of things now to help athletes, transition afterwards, because it isn't straightforward.
No, I agree with that. And I mean, I'm still playing. Probably shouldn't be, but still playing, and that's what I miss the most, is the change room and playing the actual game. But I've done things within my kind of, I've joined a running club, enjoy getting on running, and then also getting out with my friends and cycling and just having that kind of release that way. Joined quite a social gym here in Chester, so just trying to plan for the future, and I'll never want to lose that, whether it's later in life going down to play squash or tennis or something like that. So I couldn't lose that. And golf as well, there's golf networking, which you got 4 hours to network with your pairs, and I've done it before and it is quite successful. I've gone for a round of golf with a handful of prospects, and all 3 of them have become clients, and it's been a very, very successful day. I'm not saying they become clients straight away after the game of golf, and in some cases it's a year to get them over the line, but just continuously having that, mutual interest. Let's go for a round of golf. Let's go for a beer after the golf. And naturally that just become, they're more interested in what you're doing, and likewise with you. And then you can kind of nurture that and then bring them on board as a client.
Yeah, I love that shift actually, where even when you said like that gym community and this golf networking, is that if you do finish playing and you do feel a bit lost, you can still build a community. It doesn't have to be within your sport. I spoke about it again on the other ice hockey episode, where it was a year after I won in Basingstoke and things weren't going very well and I wanted to leave, but I loved the room so much. We had one of the best rooms I'd ever been in. I actually messaged Ryan Watt, who got released in the summer, and I said, how did you leave this room? And he said, listen, I only hear from 2 of you. That's how I left the room. And it's like, when you're in that environment, it's great, but it doesn't mean you can't recreate that environment elsewhere. And he did. He was having a great time. I think he was in Hull at the time. I moved back to Bracknell, and I had a great time in Bracknell. And you don't, we do get absorbed in kind of one area, but you've also moved teams, and you've had a great time and great life experiences in all of them. So, you can move that community. You can create a new one. You just need to go and look for it.
Yeah, you got to be, more proactive than reactive. That's why I've kind of planning towards, leaving the game and, trying to find the next buzz. So signing myself up for triathlons this summer, and, just trying to want to keep pushing myself for other goals. And when my dad passed away, we cycled from Chester to Amsterdam with some friends and raised about £8,000 to the hospice where he passed away. So that was very, very special moment for me. And fair enough, I haven't been on the bike since then that often. it's kind of one of them where we arrived in Amsterdam. I took the bike apart and put it in this box, and then put it on the plane, and we flew back, and obviously had a nice couple of nights in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a special moment.
Yeah, that's nice. So if you could give somebody some advice, somebody that may be going through some grief, whether they're just grief in general or they are trying to continue playing sport whilst grieving, from what you've experienced, is there any advice you could give them that they could action upon today?
Yeah, 100%. Don't leave it to yourself. That's what I did. It will, you think you're doing fine, and it will creep up on you. Like I said, it was 2019. I was speaking to someone who was useless from the NHS. And then dad passed away. I parked it. Austin was born 6 weeks after my dad passed away. So I was like,
Wow.
right, now's time. Let's focus on being a dad. Just brushed everything under the carpet. And that old saying is completely true. If you brush everything under the carpet, those demons are going to come out. I think it was 2021. Yeah, you mix in lockdown, stresses like that. And I just had a bit of a blowout in 2021. And it was, I was like, fuck, along with my partner as well. Sorry for swearing. But yeah, yeah, maybe I should speak to someone and a proper. And I only people are like, oh, do I need to speak to someone for 12 sessions or 12 weeks or whatever it is, a whole year? Am I going to, is it expensive? There's plenty of free tools out there. So depending on what person or relation is got a medical issue, you should check charities, hospices. They all offer free services if someone's going to be bereaved. So highly recommend that. And just speaking to someone, and I only did 4 hours, and it massively helped and changed perspective. And then after that, it was a bit of self meditation, and podcasts helped. Talking about it like this, it just massively.
Yeah, podcast is a game changer. I'm started this because of one that I listened to when I finished playing ice hockey. I found a purpose, and that's where kind of the habit and the behavior changes come. It started from this business personal development podcast. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, so it is a big thing to listen into. Who was the company that you had the 4 hours with? Just in case anybody is interested.
Yeah, it was the hospice, St. Wirrell's, St. John's. So it's where my dad passed away. But I know I've got a connection with the Chester Hospice here. We've got like a referral partnership, and they offer it to anyone, any under 18 who's grieving. They'll offer it to, regardless if their parent or relation has passed away at the hospice. And then anyone over 18, I think adults, they give a couple of free sessions. It's worth exploring at your local hospice. It's worth exploring at your local charities, or even nationwide charities. But and then if you want someone a bit more private, you can pay for it. And it's probably worth investing if it's going to sort your head out. That's one thing. I was always, and what you're doing now with the coaching and PT, and it's something I'd never paid for before in my life. And I, last summer I paid for a PT for 3 months, and my partner is still paying for hers. And for her, I've seen a massive change because that's her therapy, is paying for a personal trainer and smashing her goals in the gym. So what you do is massively important as well. So that could also be, someone's release is invested in themselves to get fitter, which ultimately will make your mind stronger and put you in a better place.
Yeah, I think I saw the video of you two training together the other week. Actually, was that you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, she's been doing it, quite 14 months now. I did it for 3 months before hockey season, and then obviously, you get these injuries which affect your training. So, that's another therapy that people can look at if they are grieving.
Yeah, I guess it's finding grief is weird. Grief is extremely weird. I've experienced it, not as close maybe as yours, but it is a strange thing. And I think what I learned from it is there's no right or wrong way of dealing with it as long as you get through it. But there is a better or worse. And obviously from what you're saying there, that investment, 4 hours. If you knew it was only going to be 4 hours when it happened, it might have got done with a lot quicker, but we don't know that it will take 4 hours. It's just starting that one conversation, texting that one person, ringing that one number. That's where it starts, and that one action then can snowball into recovery.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're going to do it as well, maybe get a bit of someone to keep you accountable. So basically, say I'm going to do this. So it doesn't have to be your partner; it can be your best mate or a cousin that you don't even speak to. But say I'm going to do this, and then make sure you check in on me to make sure I've done it. That sort of mentality is sign up and then make sure it gets completed.
Yeah, definitely. What's next for Andy McKinney? What's next in life?
Yeah, I mean, I just continue what I'm doing. I want to progress and get higher up within my industry. I've, like I said, I've initially started off just helping families and helping people on a personal basis, as they call it. But now I'm getting more into the bigger, more corporates and group policies and looking after employees and that sort of stuff. So I am walking into boardrooms and sitting down with multiple shareholders within a business, which is a bit more corporate. And that's the direction that my business is going. And I just want to kind of keep learning and carving my trade within this industry and bringing on, new referral partners and ultimately bringing on more clients and helping to protect as many people as I can and businesses. So that's what's next for me. And on a personal side of things, it's kind of getting married. I've got the biggest month of my life coming up. So I've got my stag do, wedding and honeymoon all within 3 weeks, so it's going to be crazy.
Did you time it, because you said April, so is it in the off season?
Yeah, it's hockey season, so we need to make playoff weekend, but I'm sure we can with the squad that we've got. So it's going to be playoff weekends, smash it, have a good laugh with the lads afterwards. Then it would be my stag do, which I don't know where I'm going yet, but that's with friends from school, locally, and then hockey as well, and then the wedding is the following weekend, and then we goes on the honeymoon the following day. So it was, that was our thought process. Was get it over and done with, and we're only having a small wedding. There's only 30 people coming, just the people who matter most in our lives. So my advice to anyone out there, if they are getting married, don't invite everyone, hundreds. But it's who really matter most to you. And then what next? I just want to keep continuing on that. And then I need to find another purpose. Like I said, I've signed up for triathlons. I want to raise a bit more money for charity. I want to go. I want to do something in the outdoors. So I'm looking for something voluntary. So if anyone hears this message and has any ideas, maybe join mountain rescue or something like that. I need a new purpose after hockey. So exploring ideas, but then also I've got to remember that I'm a parent and they need focus as well.
Yeah, you don't have to be on your stag do weekend, but maybe the rest of the time you do. Exactly. But it's good that you planned it in for after the season. I've still not forgiven my brother, and I know a few other players haven't, because he put his in at the start of the hockey season just because he was retired. But then a few of us, we had to miss a game, so we still haven't forgiven him. So it's good that you've done yours afterwards. Andy, if anybody wants to, even just chat to you, or if they do want to learn more about what you do at Game Plan, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram at GamePlanAndy. You can also, that's probably the easiest way, or on Facebook if you're not on Instagram at GamePlanAndy. Reach out to me if you want to talk about, if you want to get to the next level in sport. If you're grieving, I could probably point you in the right direction, or at least have a conversation with you. And then if anyone's interested in my services and how I can help you with later life protection and planning, then give me a shout.
Yep. And you are a walking example, because if you break your hand, some people can't work, and you might need insurance.
Exactly. So I was just saying on my post before, it literally this morning, it took me about an hour to do this long-worded email, which should have only taken me 10 minutes, but I was just getting a few minutes. And then someone told me to use dictation on my Mac here, and I've just been using that, and it's revolutionized my day.
There we go. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for anybody that's listened in. If you've taken anything away from today's episode, always remember there's no cost to listen, but there is a fee. If If you have gained something from it, great. If you feel like somebody else needs to hear this, then please share the episode with them. The aim of the podcast is just to help one person in each episode. So hopefully that was you today. And if not, please share to somebody that might need it. So thank you, everybody that joined us. Remember, there is always another game, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.